The ancient space station hung silently in the darkness, its damaged hull reflecting the dim light of distant stars. Marcus stood at the viewing window of his research vessel, his eyes fixed on the derelict structure that had captured his team's attention. After 3 years of searching, they had finally found it, one of the legendary last outposts of humanity. "Sir, the initial scans are complete," said Tom, the team's sensor specialist. His voice carried an unusual tremor of excitement. "The station's structure matches the patterns we found in the old records. This is definitely human technology." Marcus nodded slowly, his weathered face showing both exhaustion and determination. As the head of the Stellar Archaeological Society's Deep Space Division, he had spent his entire career searching for traces of the mysterious humans who had vanished 40,000 years ago. "Any signs of the data cores?" Marcus asked, turning away from the window. The ship's control room buzzed with activity as his 12-member team worked at their stations, each focused on different aspects of the discovery. "Yes, sir," Lisa, their technology expert, called out from her console. Her 4 fingers moved quickly across the holographic display, a reminder that their own species had evolved quite differently from the ancient humans they studied. "We're detecting multiple storage units in the central chamber. Some of them might still be intact." Marcus felt his heart beat faster. In all their previous discoveries, they had only found fragments, broken pieces of human technology, partial records, and destroyed databases. But this station looked different. Something had protected it all these years. "Prepare the boarding team," he ordered. "Full containment suits. We don't take any chances with artifacts this old." Within an hour, Marcus led a team of 5 through the station's emergency airlock. Their magnetic boots clicked against the metal floor as they moved through the dark corridors. Their lights revealed walls covered in strange symbols, human writing that their computers quickly translated into modern language. "Engineering section," Tom read aloud as they passed under a large sign. "We're getting closer to the central storage area." The air inside their suits felt thick with tension. Every step took them deeper into history, into the last days of a civilization that had supposedly sacrificed everything to save the galaxy. Most people thought the stories about humans were just myths, tales of noble warriors who had died fighting some great evil. But Marcus and his team had found enough evidence over the years to know there was truth behind the legends. They reached a sealed door marked Critical Data Storage. Lisa moved forward with her tools, carefully bypassing the ancient security systems. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a room filled with tall black columns. "Data cores," Lisa whispered in awe. "Dozens of them. And look, that one's still powered." In the center of the room stood a column different from the others. A faint blue light pulsed along its surface, and strange markings covered its base. Marcus approached it slowly, his handheld scanner beeping as it detected active energy patterns. "This shouldn't be possible," he said, checking the readings again. "Nothing should still be running after 40,000 years. They must have used their most advanced technology to preserve this message." The team gathered around the glowing column. Lisa connected their translation computer to the ancient interface, and for several tense minutes, they waited as it processed the data. Suddenly, every screen in their suits lit up with the same message. 3 simple words appeared, written in the bold letters of human language. "Run. Runnin'. Run." Marcus stared at the warning, feeling a chill despite his suit's temperature controls. This was just the beginning, he realized. Whatever the humans had been trying to tell them, whatever they had died protecting the galaxy from, it was all stored here in this station. And after 40,000 years of silence, humanity's final message had finally been delivered. "Download everything," he ordered, his voice steady despite his growing unease. "Every file, every record. The humans didn't preserve this message for all these years just to warn us to run. There has to be more." They had no idea then that this discovery would change the fate of every living species in the galaxy. The humans' last warning had only begun to tell its story. Back on their research ship, Marcus and his team worked without rest. The data core they had recovered from the ancient station sat in their main lab, its blue light still pulsing steadily. 3 days had passed since they found the mysterious warning, and each new discovery brought more questions than answers. "I've managed to decrypt another section," Lisa announced, her eyes fixed on the streams of data flowing across her screen. The rest of the team gathered around her station, their faces reflecting the soft glow of the displays. "The humans left more than just that warning," she continued. "There's a whole message archive here, but it's locked behind multiple layers of security. They really didn't want this falling into the wrong hands." Tom leaned closer to the screen, his expression worried. Or maybe they were trying to protect us from whatever made them write that warning in the first place. As if responding to their discussion, the data core's light suddenly pulsed brighter. New text appeared on their main screen, this time forming complete sentences. "To those who find this message, we were not the first to face it, but we made sure we would be the last. The void is contained, but not forever. You have exactly 39,984 years, 2 months, and 15 days remaining." Marcus felt his throat go dry. That's not a random number," he said slowly. "That's counting down from 40,000 years, from when they left this message." "Sir," called James from the analysis station, his voice shaking. "You need to see these sensor readings. The data core isn't just storing information. It's measuring something. Something big." The main screen filled with complex energy patterns. Even with their advanced technology, the team could barely understand what they were seeing. The readings showed massive disturbances in space-time, centered around where Earth had once been. Lisa worked quickly to decode more of the message. As each new piece emerged, the true scale of what they had discovered became clear. "The humans," she read aloud, "they found something ancient, something that had been consuming entire galaxies. They called it the void. It wasn't a natural disaster or a hostile species. It was something worse, something that existed outside our understanding of physics." More text appeared. "We couldn't destroy it. We couldn't reason with it. We couldn't escape it. So we did the only thing we could. We trapped it. The price was Earth, our homeworld, and billions of lives. But we bought the galaxy time. Use it wisely." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the stories about Earth's destruction. It was supposed to have been a terrible accident, or a war, or a natural disaster. But this was different. This was sacrifice on an unimaginable scale. "There's more data being decoded," Lisa said quietly. "Historical records, scientific data, weapons designs. The humans didn't just leave us a warning. They left us everything they knew." Marcus stood up straight, making a decision. "Send a message to the Council. Priority level maximum. They need to know what we found." But before anyone could move, the data core pulsed again. A new message appeared, different from the others. This one seemed more personal, more urgent. "If you're reading this, you need to understand. We didn't just die. We didn't just lose our world. We turned our entire planet into a prison, converted its core into a quantum containment field. Our scientists calculated it would hold for exactly 40,000 years. No more. We scattered the survivors, hid our remaining technology, and left this warning." The message continued, each word appearing with deliberate slowness. "The void is patient. It is eternal. And it remembers. When it breaks free, and it will break free, it will remember who trapped it. It will come looking for any trace of humanity, and it will destroy anything in its path." Marcus looked at his team's faces, seeing his own fear reflected in their expressions. They had come looking for archaeological treasures, for answers about humanity's disappearance. Instead, they had found a nightmare, preserved perfectly for 40,000 years. And somewhere, in the direction of where Earth once existed, something terrible was waiting to wake up. "Start copying everything," Marcus ordered. "Every file, every design, every piece of data. If the humans gave their world to buy us time, we're going to use it. The warning had been delivered. Now they had to decide what to do with it. The next week aboard the research ship was filled with tension. Marcus and his team worked in shifts, processing the massive amount of information from the human data core. With each new file they decoded, the true story of humanity's final days became clearer and darker. "I found their military records," Tom announced one morning, his voice tired from working through the night. The humans, they knew about the void for years before they made their final move. The main screen lit up with images that made everyone stop and stare. They showed massive space battles, entire fleets of human ships, fighting against something that seemed to swallow light itself. "Play the command logs," Marcus ordered, his eyes fixed on the screen. A human voice filled the room, calm despite the chaos it described. "Admiral's log, final entry. Our weapons pass right through it. Our shields mean nothing. We've lost contact with the outer colonies. The void doesn't just destroy, it consumes. Everything we throw at it becomes part of it. We can't win this war. Not in any normal way." Lisa, who had been quiet for hours, suddenly spoke up. "Sir, I've finished translating their scientific data. The humans, they were brilliant. Terrifying, but brilliant." She brought up new files, showing complex diagrams and calculations. Even with their modern technology, some of the concepts were hard to understand. They discovered that the void wasn't just eating worlds and ships, Lisa explained, pointing to the diagrams. It was consuming reality itself. Each galaxy it destroyed made it stronger. The humans calculated that if they didn't stop it, it would devour the entire universe within 1,000,000 years. Marcus leaned forward, studying the data. But how did they trap something that powerful? "That's the incredible part," Lisa said, bringing up more files. "They turned their entire solar system into a trap. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid. They moved everything into perfect position. Earth was the center, the key to their plan." The screen showed the human solar system, arranged in a strange pattern. Earth sat at the middle, surrounded by carefully positioned planets and thousands of artificial satellites. "They built quantum resonators on every world," Tom added, reading from another file. "Linked them all together. The whole system became one giant trap, with Earth as the trigger." New images appeared. Massive machines being built on planetary surfaces, enormous energy collectors around their sun, millions of people working together on what they knew would be their last project. When the void came for Earth, Lisa continued, her voice soft with awe. The humans were ready. They had evacuated as many people as they could, but billions stayed behind. Volunteers. They knew what would happen. The next recording they played showed the final moments. The void, a massive darkness that bent space itself, approaching Earth. The trap activating. The entire solar system glowing with impossible energy. And then, they turned their planet into a prison, Marcus whispered. Not just the core, the whole thing. Every atom. Every particle. They converted an entire world into a quantum cage. James, who had been analyzing the power readings, shook his head in disbelief. The energy required, it's beyond anything we can imagine. The explosion would have been visible across half the galaxy. And it worked, Lisa said, bringing up the final calculations. The void couldn't break free. Every time it tries, Earth's transformed matter contains it. But the containment is breaking down. That's what the timer is counting. The decay of the quantum prison. Marcus stood up and walked to the viewing window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, scattered across the galaxy, the descendants of human survivors might still exist, and they had left behind everything. Their knowledge, their technology, their discoveries, all to help future civilizations face what was coming. How many? He asked suddenly. How many humans stayed behind to spring the trap? Lisa checked the records, then answered quietly. 8 billion. 8 billion people chose to stay, to become part of the prison that would hold the void. The room fell silent as they processed this information. They had come looking for archaeological treasures, for interesting historical facts. Instead, they had found the greatest sacrifice in the history of the galaxy. And they had found something else too. Proof that the legends were wrong. Humanity hadn't been destroyed. They had chosen their end, turned their own destruction into a weapon, and bought the rest of the universe time to prepare. Now that time was running out. 2 days later, Marcus gathered his entire team in the ship's main conference room. The data core sat in the center of the table, its blue light now pulsing faster than before, as if it sensed the urgency of its message. "We found their final plan," Marcus announced, his voice heavy with the weight of what they had discovered. "The complete records of humanity's last day. Everyone needs to see this." The room's lights dimmed as Lisa started the recovered video recording. The image showed a large room filled with humans, all wearing matching uniforms with golden symbols on their shoulders. "This is the last meeting of Earth's Defense Council," Lisa explained, recorded just 6 hours before they sprung their trap. An older human woman stood at the front of the room in the recording. Her hair was gray, but her eyes showed fierce determination. "The evacuation ships are away," she announced. "Every surviving colony has the data packages. Now we begin the final phase." The recording showed maps and diagrams as she continued speaking. "The void will be here in 6 hours. 8 billion brave souls have volunteered to stay. Not just soldiers, teachers, farmers, children, families. Everyone who stayed knew what it meant, what it would cost." Tom paused the recording. "They didn't just sacrifice themselves," he said quietly. "They turned themselves into weapons. Every human who stayed behind had their body modified with quantum locks. They became part of the prison." Marcus nodded grimly. "Play the next part." The recording continued, showing massive machines powering up around Earth. Millions of satellites moved into perfect position. The other planets in their system, already emptied of human life, glowed with strange energy. Each volunteer was injected with quantum particles, Lisa explained, bringing up the scientific data. When the void came, every human body on Earth would become a connection point in the quantum prison. 8 billion points, all linked together, all holding the void in place. The next images showed the streets of human cities. Instead of panic or fear, they saw people hugging each other, sitting in parks, or gathering in large groups. Children played while their parents watched. Old people sat in chairs in the sun. They all wore small glowing devices on their chests, the quantum locks that would turn them into living parts of the prison. They knew they only had hours left, James said, his voice breaking slightly. "But look at them. They're so calm." The recording shifted to show the final preparations. Scientists made last-minute adjustments to their machines. Military ships moved into position around Earth, and in orbit, hundreds of evacuation ships jumped away to safety, carrying the survivors who would preserve humanity's legacy. Then they saw it, the void arriving. It looked like a hole in space itself, bigger than Earth's moon. As it approached, the quantum locks on every human began to glow brighter. "Ready the final sequence," the gray-haired woman ordered in the recording. "May whatever gods exist remember what we did here today." The next few minutes showed something none of them would ever forget. As the void reached Earth, every human on the planet began to shine with brilliant light. The quantum locks activated, transforming not just their bodies, but their very atoms into components of the prison. Earth itself changed, its core becoming the central lock that would hold the void for 40,000 years. The explosion lit up half the galaxy. When the light faded, where Earth had been, there was now something else, a sphere of transformed matter, glowing with quantum energy, with the void trapped inside. The recording ended, but one final message appeared. "We are humanity. We discovered the void. We faced it. We trapped it. And when it breaks free, it will remember us. It will hunt for any trace of human blood among the stars. This is our warning to all who find this message. Prepare yourselves. You have the time we bought with our lives. Use it well." Marcus looked at his team. They had all seen many amazing things in their years of archaeological work, but nothing like this. This wasn't just history. This was a lesson in sacrifice that went beyond anything they had imagined. "Send everything to the council," he ordered. "Every recording, every piece of data. The humans didn't just die to save us. They became eternal guardians, and their prison is about to break." The research ship's alarms woke everyone in the middle of the night cycle. Marcus rushed to the main lab, still pulling on his uniform jacket. The data core's blue light had turned red, and it was pulsing faster than ever before. "What's happening?" he demanded, finding Lisa and Tom already at their stations. "The core just started broadcasting new data," Lisa said, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. It's showing us the prison's condition. In real time." The main screen filled with streaming numbers and diagrams. At the center was a 3D image of Earth's transformed remains, the quantum prison that held the void. Red warning signs flashed all around it. "The containment field is failing faster than the humans predicted," Tom reported, his voice tense. The prison wasn't just counting down time. It was measuring its own decay. James rushed into the lab, holding a portable data pad. "Sir, I finished analyzing the timer's data. It's not just a simple countdown. The humans built sensors into the prison itself. They were measuring the void's attempts to escape. The screen showed new images, patterns of energy moving within the prison. The darkness of the void could be seen pushing against its quantum cage, testing for weaknesses. Every time it pushes against the prison walls," Lisa explained, pointing to the data, "it uses up some of the quantum energy holding it in place." The humans knew this would happen. They calculated how long the prison would last based on how often the void would try to break free. Marcus studied the readings closely. "But something's changed, hasn't it? That's why the core is warning us now." Tom nodded grimly. "The void's attacks are getting stronger. Look at this pattern." He brought up a graph showing energy spikes over time. For thousands of years, it tested the prison walls maybe once a century. But now it's trying every day. Lisa finished. "It knows the prison is weakening. It can feel it." New data appeared on their screens, detailed scans of the quantum prison structure. The transformed matter that had once been Earth was showing signs of stress. Tiny cracks had appeared in the quantum field, each one leaking small amounts of the precious energy that kept the void contained. "The humans built backup systems into the prison," James said, reading from another file. "Secondary containment fields, emergency barriers, even a system that can rebuild damaged sections. But they're all failing now. They were never meant to last this long." Marcus watched as more warning signals appeared on the screen. "How long?" he asked quietly. "How long until the prison fails completely?" Lisa checked the calculations 3 times before answering. "At the current rate of decay, 16 months. Maybe less if the void's attacks keep getting stronger." The room fell silent. 16 months. After 40,000 years of containment, after the sacrifice of 8 billion humans, they were down to 16 months. "There's something else," Tom said suddenly. "The prison isn't just failing, it's changing. The quantum field, it's starting to remember." He brought up new scans showing strange patterns in the prison's energy field. The transformed matter that had once been human bodies was somehow retaining traces of memory, of consciousness. "The humans who became part of the prison," Lisa whispered, "their atoms are still linked together. And they're still fighting. Every time the void attacks the walls, the quantum field responds. Like antibodies fighting an infection. Like they're still trying to protect us, even now." James looked up from his readings, his face pale. "But each time they fight back, it uses up more energy. They're sacrificing their last remains to buy us just a little more time." Marcus stared at the image of the prison, thinking about the billions of humans who had turned themselves into living weapons. Even 40,000 years after their sacrifice, they were still fighting, still holding back the darkness that threatened all life. "Send an emergency signal to every major world," he ordered. "Maximum priority. They need to know what's coming." The humans gave us 40,000 years to prepare. Now we have 16 months to prove their sacrifice wasn't wasted. The data core's red light pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat growing weaker. The timer was counting down, and somewhere inside that quantum prison, an ancient darkness was preparing to take its revenge. A month after their discovery, Marcus stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from 37 spacefaring species filled the great chamber, all drawn by the urgency of his team's findings. The data core sat on a pedestal beside him, its red light reflecting off the polished walls. "The humans didn't just leave us a warning," Marcus announced to the silent chamber. "They left us weapons." He nodded to Lisa, who activated the main display. The chamber's holographic system came to life, showing a map of the galaxy with thousands of points of light scattered across it. "These are hidden bunkers," Marcus explained, "carefully placed throughout the galaxy by human survivors before they disappeared. Each one contains technology they developed while fighting the void." The council members murmured among themselves as more details appeared on the screen. Tom stepped forward, holding up a small device they had found in the station. "This is a key," he said. "The humans made thousands of them. Each one can open a specific bunker. And we found the map showing where every key belongs." Images appeared showing massive underground facilities, hidden bases inside asteroids, and secret stations drifting between stars. All of them had been waiting for 40,000 years, preserved by technology that was still far ahead of anything their current civilizations had developed. The humans knew the void would break free eventually. Lisa added, "They spent their last years preparing for that moment. Everything they learned about fighting it, every weapon they developed, every strategy they tested, it's all preserved in these bunkers." The head of the council, an elderly member of the stellar species, leaned forward. "How many bunkers are there?" 10,000, Marcus answered, "spread across every arm of the galaxy. Some are small, containing just data or single pieces of technology. Others," he paused, bringing up new images, "others are massive weapon factories, ready to be activated. The humans built them to last, powered by artificial stars that will burn for millions of years." James stepped forward with another discovery. "We found their combat data too. The humans fought the void for years before they created the prison. They learned its weaknesses, found ways to hurt it. All that knowledge is stored in these bunkers." The display showed examples of human weapons, devices that could bend space itself, energy beams that could pierce the void's darkness, shields that could resist its consuming power. Things that seemed like magic even by their modern standards. "The humans didn't just sacrifice themselves," Marcus continued. "They spent every resource they had preparing for this moment. They knew whoever found their message would need help facing what was coming." Lisa activated another file, and a new image appeared. A massive facility hidden inside a dead star. This was their greatest project. They called it the Forge. It's a factory bigger than most moons, capable of producing weapons on a scale we can barely imagine. The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers as they saw the true size of the facility. The humans had built something that could arm entire civilizations, all powered by the energy of a collapsed star. "But there's something else," Marcus said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Something even more important than the weapons." He nodded to Tom, who brought up the final files they had decoded. "The humans found a way to track the void's essence," Tom explained. "They discovered it had a pattern, a signature we could detect. They built sensors into every bunker, creating a network that could warn us when it starts to move." The display showed a web of detection points spreading across the galaxy. 40,000 years ago, the humans had created an early warning system that was still functioning perfectly. "This is their real legacy," Marcus said firmly. "Not just the weapons, not just the technology. They gave us a fighting chance. They trapped the void when it was weaker, when it had consumed fewer galaxies, and they gave us everything we need to finish what they started. The council chamber was silent as the magnitude of the discovery sank in. The humans hadn't just died protecting the galaxy. They had spent their last days building an arsenal for the future, preparing for a battle they knew would come long after they were gone. "We have 16 months," Marcus concluded. 16 months to find these bunkers, to understand their weapons, to prepare our defenses. The humans bought us time with their lives. Now we have to prove we deserve that sacrifice. 15 months after their discovery, Marcus stood at the viewing window of the largest warship ever built. Behind him, a fleet of 10,000 ships stretched into the darkness of space. Each one carried weapons recovered from the human bunkers, technology that had waited 40,000 years for this moment. Final report. Lisa called out from her station on the bridge. The prison's outer layer just collapsed. We have less than 24 hours before complete failure. The quantum prison that had once been Earth was visible in the distance, a sphere of dying light wrapped around absolute darkness. With each passing minute, more cracks appeared in its surface, leaking the last remnants of its power into space. "All ships report ready," Tom announced. "Weapons are charged. The human defense systems are online." Over the past months, they had found all 10,000 bunkers. Each one had contained exactly what the humans promised: weapons, shields, and technology that seemed impossible. But more importantly, they had found something else: records of human survivors who had scattered across the galaxy. "Message from the Council," James said, looking up from his console. "They'd found another human colony. That makes 15 now. All hidden, all protected, all still remembering the sacrifice their ancestors made." Marcus nodded slowly. They had discovered that humanity hadn't completely disappeared. Small groups had survived, hidden themselves away, kept their existence secret to protect others from the void's revenge. Now, after 40,000 years, they were revealing themselves, ready to fight alongside the galaxy once again. "Sir," Lisa called out suddenly. "The prison. Something's happening." On their screens, they could see the quantum field changing. The transformed matter that had once been billions of human bodies was shifting, forming patterns they had never seen before. It was as if, in their final moments, the human particles were trying to tell them something. "It's a message," Tom said in awe. The quantum field, the humans encoded one last message into their own transformed atoms. Words appeared on their screens, formed by the dying light of Earth's remains. "We held it as long as we could. We gave you time to prepare. Now fight. Fight like we did. Fight for everything that lives. Fight for everything that will ever live. The void remembers us. Make it remember you too." The message faded as more cracks spread across the prison's surface. The darkness inside pressed against its weakening walls, eager for freedom, hungry for revenge. "All ships, battle positions," Marcus ordered. Around him, the bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Every species in the galaxy had sent ships to this fight. Old enemies now flew side by side, united by the sacrifice they had witnessed. "Sir," James said quietly, "look." The view screen showed something remarkable. From the hidden human colonies, small fleets of ships were appearing. They looked different from modern vessels. Designs preserved for 40,000 years, passed down through generations of survivors. The descendants of those who had escaped were coming back, ready to finish what their ancestors had started. "Message from the human ships," Lisa announced, her voice filled with emotion. They say our ancestors bought you time with their lives. Now we stand with you to make that sacrifice count." The prison's light flickered one last time. In its dying glow, they could almost see the shapes of cities, of continents, of a world that had turned itself into a weapon to save the galaxy. Then, with a silent flash, the quantum field collapsed. The void burst free, its darkness spreading like wings across space. But this time, it didn't face a single species fighting alone. This time, it faced a galaxy united, armed with 40,000 years of human preparation and supported by humanity's returned children. All ships, Marcus commanded, watching the darkness approach. Fire. The combined fleet lit up the darkness of space, human weapons blazing alongside technology from 37 other species. The final battle was beginning. But this time, they weren't running. This time, they were ready. The Void had remembered humanity for 40,000 years. Now it would remember what humanity's sacrifice had created, a galaxy prepared to fight back.